Hello everybody, it's your boy Proftrof and we're back with another LEMMiNO video. This is Consumed by the Apocalypse and it was 14 hours ago. Are you all excited? Because I am. A new LEMMiNO video. I mean, this dude makes amazing videos, so let's get to it. I'm really excited, okay? Your boy's fucking excited.
Of all the species to have ever lived, all but a tiny fraction have gone extinct. At some point in the future, the same fate will befall humanity.
No, it won't. The God Emperor should save us. It may take centuries,
it might take eons, but extinction is unavoidable.
No.
The future is fraught with uncertainty, and the apocalypse never seems too far away.
Consumed by the apocalypse. Cosmic threats. Impact events.
Nearly 800,000 years ago, an approximately 1 kilometer wide asteroid collided with Earth.
Okay.
The crater has yet to be located, but fragments from the impact have been found scattered across the eastern hemisphere, an expansive strewn field that covers up to 30% of the planet's surface.
That's a dick.
Our distant ancestors were not only alive to witness this event, but managed to adapt and survive. Impacts of this magnitude occur roughly once every 500,000 to 2 million years. More devastating impacts, like the one that nearly wiped out the dinosaurs, are far less frequent.
That's pretty big. That's what she said.
Possibly striking once every 100 million years.
Wow. It's
whether a collision of this magnitude is survivable is a matter of debate. The kinetic energy released upon impact would be equivalent to the simultaneous detonation of billions of atomic bombs. Those who survived the initial blast would be subjected to unrelenting earthquakes, firestorms, and tsunamis.
Oof.
A thick layer of smoke and dust would quickly envelop the globe and blot out the sun. An impact winter that could last for months or even years. Darkness, freezing cold, and global famine would throw the world into chaos.
True.
In spite of this, long-term survival is not inconceivable. Small pockets of humanity may take refuge underground and would at least be given a chance.
Okay. Question. Don't we have any ways to deal with this even a little bit? Like, don't they have like rockets and shit? If you blow it up and it becomes in small chunks, it's still gonna fall, but it's gonna be less impactful, no? Or is that even worse? I don't know. Don't we have any ways to deal with this if it happens?
To rebuild civilization.
So
but
it's not as
make
bad.
No mistake, it would be a close call. The survivability of an impact also depends on how much time we have to prepare. More than 90% of nearby asteroids and comets larger than 1 kilometer have already been detected. If one of them were on a collision course with Earth, we'd know for decades or even centuries in advance.
Wow. Okay.
But this was not always the case. In 1983, a 9-kilometer wide comet was only spotted 2 weeks prior to its closest approach.
Oi.
That's 2 weeks of preparation had it been aiming for Earth. While things have significantly improved since 1983, space is impossibly vast.
That is true.
In 2019, an asteroid capable of leveling a city was detected a day before it flew 5 times closer to the Earth than the Moon. While the odds of an extinction-level collision are remote, it's not impossible. There is a class of objects known as Damocloids. Damocloids are typified by their highly eccentric orbits and low reflectivity, meaning they periodically pay us a visit and are extremely difficult to detect. We're currently tracking about 200, but there could be hundreds more tumbling through the solar system. Damocloids are, on average, 16 kilometers wide. If one of them were on a collision course with Earth, there might not be any warning.
Well, this video is gonna be really depressing, isn't it? Stellar explosions. Okay.
When massive stars die, they explode. If a star went supernova within 30 light-years of Earth, it would be cause for concern.
I don't like that sound, brother. Sounds like a sound from Stalker when you get radiation.
Fortunately, more than 90% of the stars within this bubble have already been discovered, none of which are at risk of exploding anytime soon. But some supernovae can still pose a threat from thousands of light-years away.
Wouldn't it take a long time for the explosion to come to here, though? We'd probably be dead by then, like 20 times over.
It's a gamma-ray burst, produced by only the most violent explosions in the universe. Instead of a spherical blast, a gamma-ray burst will channel the explosion into two highly concentrated beams. More energy is released in a few seconds than the sun will radiate in its entire lifetime.
How did this become a Marvel movie real quick?
The biological effects of a nearby supernova or gamma-ray burst are poorly understood. We do know that the atmosphere would absorb much of the high-energy radiation, but this may also strip the Earth of its protective layer of ozone. If so, harmful levels of ultraviolet radiation from the sun would penetrate down to the surface. Certain chemical reactions may also darken the sky and induce global cooling, a cosmic winter of sorts. This could last for years and would be lethal to many plants and animals. In fact, a gamma-ray burst might be responsible for a mass extinction that killed roughly 70% of all marine species nearly 500 million years ago.
Oh.
Now, humanity could easily protect itself against ultraviolet sun rays, but living through a mass extinction would not be a pleasant experience.
No, it won't.
While some authors have painted a far bleaker image, with one hemisphere effectively sterilized by intense radiation, these findings have been contested in recent years. The latest research identifies ozone depletion as the primary threat. Nevertheless, a gamma-ray burst sniping the Earth from across the galaxy is extremely improbable. All of them have so far been extragalactic in origin, much too distant to pose a threat. While there are a few potential candidates within the Milky Way, none of them appear to...
Yo, what is this? It looks like two brains colliding. Like two five-head brains colliding. Looks pretty cool. Looks like I've seen this before. I don't know where
to be directed at Earth.
They look pretty cool.
Apart from impact events and stellar explosions, the foreseeable future is free of cosmic threats. Other eventualities are either too improbable or won't happen for millions.
Close encounter with another star, 1.3 million years. The star Gliese 710 will graze the outer solar system. It may protrude the Oort cloud and fling comets towards the Earth. Wow. Well, in 1.3 million years, I don't think I'll care for that event. Evolution of the sun in 1.2 in 1 or 2 billion years. That's a lot of zeros, okay? The increased luminosity of the sun will evaporate the oceans and render the Earth uninhabitable. By then, we'll be controlling the whole universe. Don't worry about it. The Emperor shall save us all. Collision with the rogue planet or black hole. Virtually impossible due to the vastness of space. Yes. Extraterrestrial invasion. Science fiction until it isn't. Oh, that's kind of scary. End of the universe. In the distant future, the universe itself may come to an end. Exactly how or when is a matter of debate. I don't think we'll have to worry about that at any point in our lifetime, so we'll be fine.
Of years. Ample time for us to prepare, other calamities permitting.
What's a volcano? Terrestrial threats. Super volcano eruptions. Yeah, those are a little scary, to be honest.
Around 74,000 years ago, a large volcano erupted in Southeast Asia. It is the most powerful volcanic eruption in human history.
Crater.
For up to 2 weeks, it spewed enormous quantities of ash and dust into the atmosphere, enough to block out the sun and potentially cool the planet. A volcanic winter. But there's great uncertainty about the effects of the eruption on both the climate and humanity. It ranges from severe to mild, with the latest research supporting the latter. In either case, this is good news. It means that supervolcanic eruptions pose little to no threat to human existence. After all, if early humans stood a chance, then so should we.
Exactly. We're
But
better
there
than
is
them.
something even more destructive than supervolcanic eruptions. It's known as a flood basalt event.
Never heard of that.
The largest one occurred 250 million years ago. An enormous outpouring of molten rock covered a region of Siberia the size of Europe. And it just so happens to coincide with the deadliest mass extinction in history.
Oh. Late Permian.
The good
mass
news
extinction.
is, flood basalt events are both rare and slow.
Oh.
Instead of a singular event, it's a series of eruptions taking place over thousands or even millions of years.
No ways to control.
As such, even if one began tomorrow, it might just be slow enough for us to adapt and survive.
Rest in peace, Europe. Natural. Oh.
Throughout the centuries, pandemics have exacted a heavy toll on humankind. Among the worst was the Black Death. In less than a decade, it killed between 25 and 60% of the European population. The total death count is unknown, at least tens of millions.
Okay, well,
The Colombian
a big reason for why it killed so much people, he probably won't go in depth in this because he's trying to cover a lot of things, is because our hygiene level during that time was non-existent. You know, it was public shitting, public trash spots, and that's how it managed to, you know, transport itself on humanity. I mean, look at Corona. It's considered very bad, but when you look at the number of dead people, it's not a small amount, okay? It's a decent amount of small people dead, but it's not like a, oh no, the universe is ending. No, it's nothing like that. So I don't think this is a very, unless it's engineered and put out there to kill us all, which it might as well be considering how advanced our science has gotten and medical fields have gotten. I think that's the only way this could go wrong, but it's still a decent possibility, so it's kind of sad and scary at the same time.
exchange of diseases and the Spanish flu claimed the lives
The
of
Black Death Plague, 1346 to 1353, that's 20 to 70 million. Colombian exchange disease, smallpox, measles, typhus, and many other period 15th 17th century, 55 million. Spanish flu, influenza, 1918 1920, 17 to 100 million.
of many millions more. The
Estimates
tragedy
vary
of these pandemics
greatly.
and epidemics notwithstanding, they never came close to extinction.
Exactly.
None of them killed more than a few percent of the global population. For instance, the Spanish flu infected nearly 1/3 of humanity, yet the vast majority of cases did not result in death. A pathogen that not only infects but also kills every single member of a species is difficult to imagine. In fact, there are very few examples of infectious disease driving a
Okay, however, the simplest disease models which have formed the theoretical foundation for the field of disease ecology suggest that diseases alone cannot drive host population extinct. Francisco de Castro, Benjamin Boker. Of these 833 known species extinctions, only 31 cases, 3.7%, have been attributed at least in part to infectious disease, whereas some forces such as habitat loss or overexploitation are listed as a single causal drive of a species extinction. In no case is infection disease listed alone. Catherine F. Smith, Dove F. Fax, Kevin D. Lafferty. And this is about species that are not as smart as us, so like they don't work on their, on finding medicine for these things, because they're not
species
humans. We school, okay? We school. Kind of.
With that being
Sometimes.
said,
Most times,
it's
probably.
not inconceivable. For instance, pathogens that can pass between multiple species can be far deadlier than those limited to just one. The H5N1 avian influenza, also known as the bird flu, is one such virus. So far, it's transmissible between humans and birds, but it can't sustainably spread among humans. However, laboratory experiments have shown that it may eventually acquire this ability through natural mutations.
Given the large numbers of HPAI, H5N1 virus infected hosts, globally the high viral mutation rate and the apparent lack of detrimental effects on fitness of the mutation that come for airborne transmission, it may simply be a matter of chance and the time before a human-to-human transmission, a blah 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 virus emerges. Well, that's true, but at the same time, like, we can also evolve to survive through it, right? Like, that's how evolution works. So like, even if 90% of the humanity dies from some disease, the rest 10, if the disease does not kill us in like a year, which probably won't, they might adapt in some way to withstand this disease. So I don't know. I don't think this is a very scary
scenario. It could easily
scenario.
become the worst pandemic in human history.
The case fatality are as high as 60%.
But even this horrifying proposition does not come close to extinction. In a worst-case scenario, most of humanity would still survive.
Could reach 1.7 billion. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. A lot of peeps.
Pandemics are complicated. It's a topic that's more relevant now than ever before.
True.
And cannot possibly be done justice in a few short minutes. But in the narrow context of human extinction, it seems unlikely for nature to stumble upon that perfect storm. Apart from volcanic eruptions and natural pandemics, the Earth has no inherent means of eradicating the human race.
Okay, let's be honest before we continue with this video. The thing that has the high chance of ending humanity is humanity itself. Let's be fucking honest. Considering how many nukes are out there, who knows how many diseases are made up in fucking laboratories for warfare reasons and shit like that. Who knows what kind of stuff that we don't even know about are made that could end us all. If humanity ever ends, it's gonna be human reason, I think. I don't think it's gonna be anything
No other
else.
form of natural calamity is powerful enough to threaten our existence. As such, the most immediate threat to humanity has for a long time been, and continues to be, humanity.
Anthropogenic threats.
While nature may struggle to devise a world-ending
Okay, I find biology and chemistry, when I watch videos about biology and chemistry, it's very hard for me to like understand some things, because I learned a decent amount. I almost went into med school, okay? So I've learned a lot of biology and chemistry, but I've learned them in Bulgarian. And like, some things are very different when you're trying to translate them from scientific languages, you know what I mean?
Pandemic
So
It may not have to.
I don't know.
Biotechnology has now advanced to a point where we can engineer pathogens in a laboratory.
Yeah, unfortunately.
While this can greatly benefit our understanding and treatment of
In 1971, a Soviet field test of a weaponized smallpox unintentionally spread to a nearby village. At least 10 people were infected and 3 died before the outbreak was contained. 1977 influenza epidemic. In 1977, a sudden reemergence of H1N1 influenza in East Asia was likely the result of a laboratory escape. The flu strain was mild and few deaths were reported. In 1979, Soviet bioweapon facility inadvertently released anthrax upon the citizens of Sverdlovsk. Approximately 100 people were killed. In 2003 and 2004, the SARS virus escaped at least 4 times from the 3 separate laboratories, once in Singapore, once in Taiwan, and twice from the same lab in China. How does it escape twice from the same lab in China? China, please stop with your little epidemic shits, okay? China needs to get spanked, okay? Another thing, I watched a video a couple years ago about Russia, where they were testing nuclear weapons at a certain site, and there was a village like 100-200 kilometers from the site they were testing nuclear weapons. It's not a problem. Problem was that they were testing the nuclear weapons near the watering site of the village, and a lot of people died. I don't remember where the event was, when the event was, but that's pretty fucked up.
Infectious diseases,
and no one knew about it. Like, the
not
people in the
without
village
risk.
didn't know about that shit.
Accidental breaches of containment have happened on multiple occasions.
Yeah,
And
accidental.
these experiments are not always conducted in the name of science. These engineered microbes are concerning because their destructive potential far exceeds that of their natural counterparts. They can be deadlier, more transmissible, and less treatable. And the rapid pace of technological progress is constantly lowering the threshold for bioengineering.
His biggest concern was, he said it in some...
Representative? I don't know what that is. Christopher Chase, R. Connecticut.
Many words, that a small group of dedicated scientists could create an altered biological agent that could wipe out humanity as we know it.
Technically speaking, you can do almost anything with a microbe. The real question is, will you end up with a microbe that functionally will do the things that the concerned person at your hearing said, namely, essentially wipe out everyone from the face of the earth? Again, that's conceivable, although it's inconceivable, but it is, in fact, anything is possible. It would be very, very difficult to do that, extraordinarily difficult, even in the best of hands, to not only do the engineering to get a microbe that has the characteristics, but be able to spread in a way in which it has virulence, transmissibility, and the ability to go in a sustained, transmissible way. Not impossible, but very, very difficult to do.
That's basically when you play Plague. I think this is the only way that this could happen, is if they make the disease very fast spreading, so it needs to spread and kill us all very fast, or there will be a cure for it, or there will be population separations where people would, you know, survive small amounts, but they'll survive. That's why my opinion on this is. Bioterrorist defense program. Nuclear. Okay, yeah, this is a very scary thing. I think this is like the scariest one for me, to be honest. Castle Bravo, the most powerful nuclear device ever
A
detonated by
nuclear
the United
holocaust
States.
is among the most infamous doomsday scenarios.
Okay, in 1967, large portions of the American early warning system suddenly went offline. The outage was initially perceived as a preemptive strike by the Soviet Union, therefore a solar flare was identified as the cause. Before a solar flare, okay. 1983, Soviet false alarm. In 1983, the Soviet Union's early warning system reported that an American nuclear attack was imminent. World War III was only averted because one man, Stanislav Petrov, correctly assumed it was a false alarm. That dude probably saved billions of people.
Since the end of World War
And a
II,
lot of
we have on numerous occasions been driven to,
you know, animal species, plant species. He saved the world.
the brink of nuclear conflict, sometimes by accident.
1962, Cuban Missile Crisis. I think this is one of the most popular ones. In 1962, the Soviet Union and the United States narrowly avoid nuclear conflict following a series of military and geopolitical escalations.
Sometimes by very intentional brinkmanship. The nuclear stockpile currently stands at more than 13,000 warheads,
Oof.
the vast majority of which are owned by Russia and the United States.
Look at those numbers. Look at those fucking numbers. 6,375 by Russia, 5,800 by the US. Ugh, I mean 320 is not a small amount by China. North Korea has 35.
In the event of an all-out nuclear war, these thousands of bombs could instantly vaporize hundreds of millions. But the explosions are only the beginning.
Exactly.
The real danger of a nuclear conflict
Hey, did I
is
see
the
one in
aftermath.
Bulgaria? Come on, stop nuking us.
Much like an impact event or supervolcanic eruption, a thick layer of smoke and dust would quickly envelop the globe. A nuclear winter that not only blots out the sun, but showers the world in radioactive fallout. Firestorms, radiation poisoning, and mass starvation could easily claim the lives of billions. However, because humanity is not evenly distributed across the planet, some
probably
regions
people
will be less
survive.
affected than others. Island nations like New Zealand, for instance, are all but certain to survive. While the effects of a nuclear holocaust are almost too dismal to contemplate, it is not typically regarded as an existential threat.
Yeah, it's not until it is, right? All it takes is one cycle, right?
Artificial intelligence has had a profound impact on modern society.
This is the one I'm least concerned about. Artificial intelligence. I am not concerned about this at all. If y'all can make sex dolls, I'm Gucci. If my sex doll kills me at some point, it's one way to go, okay?
From self-driving cars and virtual assistants to social media algorithms and facial recognition. But some experts are concerned about the future. A future in which intelligent machines become more intelligent than humans. The concern is not so much about evil robots as it is about misalignment. A misaligned intelligence is one that's not properly aligned with human goals and values. A system that becomes dangerous not due to any malicious intent, but due to an oversight in its programming. An unforeseen loophole that allows it to do things it was never intended to do. If such an entity was sufficiently intelligent, it could become unstoppable. Another concern is known as the intelligence explosion. It's a machine that can upgrade itself and thereby increase...
That is the scary thing. Because like, no machine is scary because it's programmed to do certain things, right? If at some point we can make machines that can expand their intelligence, that's when shit starts getting real. But until that point, there's nothing to worry about, I don't think. Until that point, there is nothing to worry. The fuck?
Increase its own intelligence at an exponential rate. Moments after creating such a system, it could far surpass the combined intelligence of all humans that have ever lived. Such an entity may have little to no regard for human affairs. Not unlike humanity's disregard for species less intelligent than us.
Oof.
With that being said, these concerns are far from universal. In 2016, a survey of more than 300 machine learning experts was conducted. On average, they gave a 50% chance of an artificial intelligence surpassing all human abilities by 2061. But as you can see from these faded lines in the background, there's tremendous variation between individual respondents. Some think it will happen in a few years, others believe we're more than a century away. When asked about the impact of this technology, the majority of respondents believed in a positive outcome.
Okay, let's see this. Chance LMI high-level machine. Okay, has a positive or negative long-run impact on humanity. HLMI is achieved when unaided machines can accomplish every task better and more cheaply than human workers. 20% think it's going to be extremely good, 25% think it's going to be on balance good, 20% neutral, 10% balanced bad, and 5% balanced extremely bad, e.g. human extinction.
Extinction was only given a medium probability of 5%.
Alright, that's a pretty high fucking percent. Let's be fucking honest. I don't want to roll dice and have 5% to fucking
Artificial
die, okay?
intelligence is not the only emerging technology with the potential.
Okay. Nanotechnologies, nanomachines, a weapon to surpass Metal Gear. Self-replicating nanomachines could theoretically be programmed to consume all biological matter on Earth. A doomsday scenario viable, dubbed grey goo or green goo, depending on the nature of the machines. Biotechnology. Unforeseen side effects from tampering with the human genome could conceivably lead to extinction many generations down the line. Yeah, but this is like the worst thing. It could also lead to the betterment of humanity, right? Biotechnology. I mean, all of these could lead to the betterment of humanity. But yeah, there's always that risk, right? Future technologies. New technologies are invented every year and existential risk can emerge with little to no warning. The atom bomb went from concept to reality in less than a decade.
It's a cautionary tale. No one really knows what the future will bring. All we can do is proceed with caution and hope for the best.
Environmental decline.
Over the past few decades, species across the plant and animal kingdoms have been disappearing at an alarming pace. Some 10 billion trees are cleared every single year, while animal populations are rapidly declining. Many species are also going extinct. The global rate of extinction is now tens or even hundreds of times greater than before humans conquered the planet. And it's accelerating. Upwards of 1 million species are now threatened with extinction. At the core of this immense loss of biodiversity is overconsumption driven by overpopulation. Diversity is overconsumption driven by
This shit's from Star Wars. Why are you putting it here?
overpopulation.
That was a joke. I know it's not from Star Wars. Okay, chill.
Humanity is now depleting 3/4 as many resources as the Earth can naturally replenish.
Oof.
Meaning we will soon need a second Earth just to break even. From deforestation and defaunation to pollution and climate change, no shocking graph nor depressing slideshow can fully convey the totality of our destruction.
That is true.
Our relationship with nature is so utterly broken that many fear we are now heading for extinction.
Okay, how likely do you think it is that climate change will cause the extinction of the human race? Red is very likely, and green, bright green, is not at all likely, with grays don't know. Respondents 1,000. Europe and the USA. Like, okay, well, it's kinda, wow. Asia's pretty fucking depressing. Middle East is not that bad. I like how Europe and the USA are the most not concerned. Like, they don't think it's gonna be that bad. It's just like, fuck, we're dying today, boy. We are dying, everything is ending.
That this unraveling of nature will be mankind's undoing. While some of the most comprehensive assessments to date do indeed paint a truly dystopian image of the future, none of them forecast total annihilation of the human race. We may turn the planet into a living hell, but a livable hell, it would seem.
Jeez.
However, some scientists argue that these assessments are severely underestimating the gravity of this crisis, that the sheer magnitude of our destruction is difficult to grasp for even well-informed experts. Some have also voiced their concerns about potential tipping points.
Okay. Recently, attention has been given to a hothouse Earth scenario in which the system feedback and their mutual interactions could drive the Earth system climate to a point of no return, whereby further warming would become self-sustaining. Further warming would become self-sustaining. Jeez. We conclude from a statistical point of view that the probability that our civilization survives itself is less than 10% in the most optimistic scenario. Calculations shown that maintaining the actual rate of population growth and resource consumption, in particular forest consumption, we have a few decades left before an irreversible collapse of our civilization.
Threshold that once exceeded may trigger an irreversible decline of ecosystems around the world, a global ecological collapse from which recovery becomes virtually impossible. But it's not all doom and gloom. While the rate of deforestation is alarmingly high, it has been slowing down over the past 3 decades.
That's good.
While the transition has been infuriatingly slow, more and more countries are phasing out fossil fuels in favor of renewable energy sources. So in no way should human extinction, which is the most extreme outcome, be regarded as inevitable. Climate change mitigation and nature conservation efforts are all but certain to prevent that from happening. But at the same time, that's how low we've set the bar.
That's really sad. That's really fucking sad.
What surprised me while making this video is just how difficult it is to truly wipe out everyone. Many catastrophes can drive us to the brink of extinction, but all of them struggle to cross the finish line. So that should be somewhat reassuring. Even if humanity was reduced to a few hundred individuals, a full recovery might still be possible. It would undoubtedly take many thousands of years, but recovery would not be out of the question. And the more we expand beyond the confines of Earth, extinction from any singular catastrophe becomes increasingly unlikely. Perhaps the apocalypse won't be dealt by a swift, decisive blow, but instead a gradual, faltering decline. One disaster bleeding into the next, until the final embers of humankind silently fade away. Regardless, it won't happen anytime soon. After all, we made it this far. Millions of years of evolution, countless disasters, and humanity still standing. That is perhaps the best reassurance that the world is still gonna be there tomorrow.
Well, what can I say? Another amazing video by LEMMiNO. Let me know what y'all think. What do you think is the most likely cause of humanity's ending? And dude, how likely do you think it's gonna happen in our lifetimes? Let me know that in the comments, and I'll thank my patrons real quick. Pedro Martinez, Kamensko Urant, Raw Berry, Prince Zeta, Swastik, Fuel Chicken 53, Senior Hilton, Lemon and Moonlight, Madash, Ronic, and Not a James Bissonet. Thank you all for the support. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll check you out next time. Have a nice working day.